Good morning, afternoon, and evening, guys. We're back another random tier list. Today, diving into baseball. The baseball season is upon us, finally. I'm a couple days late to the party due to some microphone issues. But we're going to rank all 30 teams here today, starting with the Miami Marlins. The Marlins, probably going to be an average team. Are they worse than that? Probably going to be bad, right? I love the Marlins in that they are getting such production out of guys that you wouldn't really expect it from. At least I wouldn't. Guys like Brian Anderson have turned into real studs there, but I just don't think that team is going to be much. I know they have added some guys, and I might be ignorant on that, but I would rank them as a bad team to start the season. Cardinals, I think, are definitely a wild card team. They might be the best team in that division. But I don't think that division is the best in baseball anymore. I think it definitely has kind of an average supply of teams, maybe even below average. I think Cardinals are one of the better teams in the division. I think they are a wild card team. Houston Astros, I think, are a pennant team. I think they're probably the best team in the American League, other than, well, there's like two or three. But I definitely think they're the best in their division, and that pains me because I am an Angels fan to say that. But yeah, they're going to be looking pretty good this season. Despite losing Correa, right? They're still looking good. Braves, I think, look pretty good. Braves, I think, have a chance to win the pennant. I think they are one of the better teams in the National League. In fact, I think they're probably the second best team in the National League, followed by another team in their own division, which we'll get to in a little bit. So yeah, Braves looking pretty good. The Orioles are going to be very bad. The Orioles were outstandingly bad last season. Their payroll is outstandingly bad always. It's incredible to read some of the stats on how horrible the Orioles are. And I'm looking forward to that continuing this season. So very bad is where I put them. Cleveland Guardians now. The Guardians, I think, they're definitely not the best or the second best team in that division. Maybe they're the second best, but they're definitely not the best. I'd say average. They might have a chance to go to the playoffs. They might have a chance to win a wild card, but I do think there are just better teams in the American League that will be taking that. The Colorado Rockies, I think, are a wild card team. I think with the players that they have added and the depth on their roster, I think they can easily do what the Rays have been doing the last couple of years, where they just have an endless supply of depth, it seems like, with guys like Ryan McMahon and Garrett Hampson and Brendan Rodgers. Who I don't think have really made their impact as much as they might be able to this season. I think it's going to come down to their depth on whether or not the Rockies are successful. Chris Bryant's going to do Chris Bryant no matter what. But will those guys, those depth utility type guys, will they be able to hold their own? That's what's going to depend on the Rockies making playoffs or not. The Tigers, I think, are better than people give them credit for. I do think they're better than the Guardians. They have a lot of young talent. In fact, young talent, especially their pitchers, start to produce. I think they could be a very, very exciting team to watch. I don't think they're quite a wild card team yet, but I do think they are better than the Guardians, or at least have more upside than the Guardians do. Though the Guardians have some young players coming up too. They have Nolan Jones and Gabriel Arias coming up. Tyler Freeman, I think, too. Though Arias and Freeman both play shortstop. The Royals. Average. So we're just going to put this whole division probably here in average, right? The Royals, yeah, they have some exciting guys coming up. Bobby Witt Jr. setting the world on fire with his debut start. Other than that, though, right, what they got going for them, I'm not sure what. I don't think they're a bad team by any means, but I definitely think they're not quite there yet for a playoff run. The Brewers, I also think, are going to be average. I think that they've lost a lot. They've lost a lot of hype. Yelich has not been performing like the MVP that he once was. If he is able to turn that around and lead his team, they could probably clinch a wild card berth. But I do think that the Cardinals are the best team in that division. The Angels, we're going to go ahead and go with average. I am an Angels fan, and that just pains me. I'm just going to put them in average, right? Every year it seems like we underperform and we end up in bad, even though if you look on paper at our team, we should be up here somewhere. I'm going to just split the difference and put them in average. The A's look very bad right now. They'll probably end up moneyballing it to average level, but they gave up so much this offseason. Their triannual sell everybody and start over strategy. I think they're going to be very bad. Not as bad as the Orioles, but I don't think they're going to be good. The Mariners, I think, are an average team. I think the Angels are going to be better than the Mariners this year, but the Mariners have a lot of young talent coming up. They have their outfielders, Kalenic, Julio Rodriguez, Kyle Lewis, who is like not even on the radar right now, but he was fantastic at the beginning of last season. They have a lot of pitchers coming up, led by Logan Gilbert. So I think the Mariners are going to be an average team this year, but I think they will be a very dangerous team in a couple of years. Yankees next. I think Yankees are a wild card team, probably better than the Mariners and the Angels in the American League this season. The Yankees are stacked, as they always are, but as always, their fan base has hyped up that stacked roster to the point where they think they're going to win the World Series, and I just don't see that happening. Of course, any team can get hot and win it, but just this year, it does not look like the Yankees are even the best team in their own division, much less winning the whole league. The Phillies, I think, are probably a wild card team. If I were to bet on it, I would say they actually do miss playoffs, but I think they are a wild card caliber team. The Phillies have just had trouble putting it together the last couple of years. I think they do have the pieces. They just need to put it together. And I think that there are other teams in the National League that will probably get that wild card spot over the Phillies, in my opinion. The Rays, also a wild card team. I do think they're better than the Yankees. The Rays, so excited to watch, moving around so many pieces. They have some stars like Wander Franco coming up as well as just solid guys like Drew Rasmussen last year, fantastic, very under the radar guy. They have McClanahan, Shane Baz, tons of young talent on this team. It's so young, and they have so many different pieces to switch around and move in different places. I love watching Rays baseball. But I think that the difference between the Rays being a wild card team and being a World Series team, I think it's going to be whether those key guys can produce for a long period of time, and that's what we're going to be seeing this season. So I think their floor is honestly wild card, but I do think a pennant is not out of the question for the Rays. Their issue is that they're in a very tough division as well. Same issue, obviously, as the Yankees. And that's because they both have to deal with the Toronto Blue Jays, who I think the Blue Jays, if it's not the Astros that's the best team in the AL, it is the Blue Jays. I think the Blue Jays are a little bit better, led by the young core of just young studs entering their prime, like Vladimir Guerrero, Bo Bichette, and others. I'm missing some obvious guys, but they're stacked. The Blue Jays look absolutely awesome. Their pitching staff is very underrated, I'd say. They have some guys in there that are going to fly under the radar and are going to make a big splash in Toronto. I think the Blue Jays are probably my pick for the American League to go to the World Series. But it's definitely not as much of a slam dunk as I think the National League might be. So, pen. Pittsburgh's going to be bad. I actually do like some of the roster changes Pittsburgh has made over the last couple weeks, months, I suppose, in the offseason and whatnot. They've turned over a couple positions. They have some young talent coming up. I do think they will be bad, but I think it's interesting, some of the moves they've been making, and if I was a Pittsburgh fan, I'd feel positive about the future generally. Of course, that's how I always feel as an Angels fan, and that doesn't work out for me here either. But, yeah. The Padres are a wild card team. The Padres are very good, right? They have such a loaded lineup. They traded for several guys over the offseason, signed several guys, made several improvements to their team. But the West is just so stacked. Outside of the Diamondbacks, sorry, is that a spoiler that the Diamondbacks are going to be very bad this year? Because I kind of feel like they will be. Outside of the Diamondbacks, that division is just so stacked with the Dodgers, Giants, Rockies, and Padres. I think the Rockies and Padres are just very comparable here in terms of how they're going to perform. I think they're both wild card teams. But yeah, definitely going to be tough in that division. The West is just loaded in the National League. Texas Rangers, I think, will probably not be very good. I think they will probably be the fourth team in the division. Astros 1, Angels, Mariners 2 and 3, Rangers 4. The Rangers, I mean, they did make some good pieces. They traded for Corey Seager, for example. Or was that a signing? They got Corey Seager in any case. So they could surprise me. They could sneak up here into average. But for sake of me not liking Texas, let's go ahead and put them in bad. The Red Sox, I think, are also a wild card team, so we have our third NL East team that is landing above average. Like I said, that division is stacked as well. So we have the AL East and the NL West. I think right now, both of those divisions are going to run away with the wild card spots. We could see all three wild card spots come from one division, which would be insane. But that's just how good the Rays, Yankees, and Red Sox are in comparison to, unfortunately, the Guardians, Tigers, Angels, and Mariners, or at least how they typically have been performing. I think the Angels have the star power to compete up here. And I think the Tigers and the Mariners will have that star power in a year or two as well. Giants, I think, are a pennant team. I think they're the second best team in that division. They just consistently produce no matter. They just have the solid guys, right? They don't always have the super flashy guys on the team, but they just have solid guys that produce on their team. So I'd say they're going to be in line for a pennant. This could be a major disagreement here, whether or not you think the Giants are better than the Rockies or the Padres. I know a lot of people love the Padres. I think you have to put one of these teams in the pennant hunt, whichever one you think is the best. I'm going to go ahead and go with the Giants. Dodgers, you guys knew where this was going. World Series, Dodgers, if they don't win the World Series this year, there is a problem, because that is probably the greatest team I've ever seen. I don't really have much else to say. If it's World Series or bust this year for the Dodgers. Mets, wildcard team. The fact that I have so many wildcard teams here, not all of them are obviously going to make it. The Phillies and the Mets, I think, are very similar in their level. You know what? Actually, the Mets are better than the Phillies. So are Mets a pennant team? It's either them or the Rays, obviously, right? I said Rays, I meant Braves. I think the Braves and the Mets are going to be kind of right there with each other. White Sox, I think, are the best team in the Central, but that is a pretty weak division. You have 3 average teams there, and we haven't gotten to the Reds yet. But the White Sox, I do think, would be a wild card team. Obviously, somebody in that division is going to make the playoffs, not as a wild card, but I think the White Sox are the best team in the division. Twins, average team. I don't think they're really going to do anything super exciting this year. They did make some interesting moves. I do like some of the roster changes they have made this offseason. But similar thing to what we were kind of just talking about here. I don't think that they're really going to do a whole lot. Also, I'm forgetting what divisions are in. Whatever, it's fine. Cubs. I don't think the Cubs are going to be very good this year. They've made some changes, but Seiya Suzuki is super interesting, as are some of the other players that they have signed. They signed, Andrelton Simmons. They have Nico Hornier, which I think they've had him, actually. But, they have, a loaded infield suddenly. But there's just no runaway stars there unless I'm forgetting somebody super obvious. Like Patrick Wisdom is playing first for them, or third, which I like. I like Patrick Wisdom, but, I'm going to go ahead and put the Cubs in bad. Nationals, I think, are average. I think Nationals are not near the top of that division. And my money would be on them not making playoffs. The Reds, I think, are going to be a bad team. I don't think they have a whole lot going for them. I'd say that. Not much else to say there. I know they have a lot of young talent coming up, but I don't think it's there yet. So this is what I think, guys. This is my ranking for Major League Baseball teams for 2022 in the season. We are a couple games in right now. Let me know in the comment section what you think, if you think I'm an idiot, or if anything should have been changed on here. If you have any ideas for any other videos, I'd love to hear that as well. And with all that said, guys, thank you for watching. This has been the guy who makes random tier lists, and I'm signing out.